After last night's results in the 3rd District of New York, where George Santos's former seat was won by a Democrat, Tom Suozzi, failed former President Donald Trump, a civilly liable rapist with 91 felony counts against him, which he will have to wade through over the next year plus. That guy, the failed former president, went on Truth Social and indicated that he is completely and utterly terrified about what's going on and what it might suggest for him in November. And I'll explain that in a moment, because this is don't think that this is Trump actually being concerned about the Republican Party. He could not care less about the Republican Party other than the question of how it can help him. Donald Trump putting up on Truth Social, quote, "Republicans just don't learn, but maybe she was still a Democrat," referring to Mazi Pilip, the Republican candidate, a former Democrat, Trump essentially arguing was a bad candidate. Republicans just don't learn, but maybe she was still a Democrat. I have an almost 99% endorsement success rate in primaries and a very good number in the general elections as well. But just watched this very foolish woman, Mazi Melesa Pilip, running in a race where she didn't endorse me and tried to straddle the fence when she would have easily won if she understood anything about modern day politics in America. MAGA, now here he engages caps lock. MAGA, which is most of the Republican Party, stayed home, and it always will, unless it is treated with the respect that it deserves. I stayed out of the race. Quote, "I want to be loved." I don't know why that's in quotes. It's really weird. Give us a real candidate in the district for November. Suozzi, I know him well, can be easily beaten. Trump is terrified. Trump sees winning in November as a way to maybe stay out of prison. And he sees that it is getting tougher and tougher for Republicans. Trump bragged about, thanks to my Supreme Court picks, we got Roe v. Wade repealed. And they've lost everything since. Now, any one race can be an outlier. Tom Suozzi was the former congressman in this area. He was already known. It's not a normal Republican loss. Okay. Voters in whatever state rejected a referendum to make abortion illegal. They are special because of this other reason. Okay, fine. You can maybe find explanations individually for all of these failures since Roe v. Wade was overturned. But it's hard to zoom out and say things are looking good for Republicans. And the way Trump is thinking of this is, if I become president, I can use that to stay out of prison. I don't know that that's true. Legal experts insist that's not true, but that's Trump's belief, that the way to stay out of prison effectively for the rest of his life is to become president. And so when Trump sees all of these Republicans losing, they're losing on ballot measures, they're losing at the state level, they're losing at the federal level, he's terrified. And he's lashing out as a bonus, also attacking Adam Schiff, who was a guest on this program not long ago, Democratic congressman in California running for Senate there. An all caps rant about Adam Schiff, where he said, quote, "Slimeball Adam Shifty Schiff, one of the true lowlifes in the history of politics in America, is running for the U.S. Senate in California, a state which he has done nothing but escalate violent crime, destroy by allowing millions of illegal migrants, push the Green New scam and all electric car mandate, perpetuate the homeless crisis and crime, defund the police, be bad to our military and vets, and stop water from freely flowing into the state from up north." Almost all of this stuff is a lie, by the way. Other than that, and his authorship of the failed and fully debunked Russia hoax, Pencil Neck is a wonderful guy. Sadly, between rank no-choice voting and unlimited numbers of mail-in ballots pouring into places unknown to give people that sometimes receive many ballots to fill out and send back at will, Californians are, quote, screwed. Make America great again. That is a hell of a rant if I've ever seen one.
And we will ban men.
Yeah, making about as much sense as that. Not too much interpretation is needed here. Trump's terrified. And when we think of the reasons to get out and vote in November, there's all this talk about Joe Biden doesn't motivate people. He doesn't excite people. Nobody's going to be titillated and aroused by going out to vote for Joe Biden. Well, let me give you a different perspective. When I think about voting in November, even as a voter in a blue state, I think about the alternative is 4 more years of arguably the most dangerous president that we've had in the modern political era. I think about my vote helping to prevent a guy from attempting to use political office to avoid criminal consequences for the things that he is accused of doing. I see a guy who admits I'll be a dictator for a day. I see a guy who says I'm going to try to get media outlets unfavorable or inconvenient to me kicked off of the air. I see a guy who is going to cozy up to some of the worst authoritarian dictators in the world. So it's not super important to me that Biden's speeches are boring. It's not really important to me that Biden doesn't excite by insulting his political opponents, but it is extremely motivating to me to participate in keeping Donald Trump out of office. And by the way, based on Trump's age, based on the apparent lack of interest in Trump's family of getting directly involved in electoral politics, although Lara Trump wants to be RNC chair, and we'll talk about that later, 2024 could serve as an inflection point not only for American democracy, but also for just being rid of this MAGA scourge or scourge, depending on your preference, for good. And I don't know that for a fact, but a number of these MAGATs have been defeated. Madison Cawthorn was defeated. Things aren't looking good for Lauren Boebert. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene will lose, not in 24, looking okay for her, but maybe in 26, or maybe she'll go away. We really could put MAGA, what's that term DeSantis used, in the dustbin of history if we defeat this guy in 2024. So I would not misinterpret not being cultish as people not being motivated to deny Donald Trump another 4 years. That's my view. I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is increasingly sharing my view, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. When I'm working on the show or doing stuff on my computer, staying focused and getting in the zone is super important. It's not always easy. I would try Spotify or YouTube playlists. I'd end up actually more distracted than focused. And then someone told me about Brain FM's Focus Music, which is actually made by scientists working with musicians specifically to help you focus. I tried it and it worked really well for me, which is why I asked them to be a sponsor. With Brain FM, I just feel more productive and focused, easier to start on difficult work, easier to stay focused without getting distracted and do that really important deep work that I love to talk about. The team behind Brain FM actually won a National Science Foundation grant related to ADHD. And the app includes a special mode just for ADHD if you need it. They even have amazing sleep sounds that I've started using at night. You can try Brain FM totally free for an entire month. Just go to brain.fm/Pacman. The link is down below.